I think it's safe to say that The Last of Us Season 2 is 100% cooked. Even normies are falling off the trend, and let's be real, who could have foreseen this coming aside from everybody? So welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and before we get into sort of any articles covering it, let me show you how just Google News is reporting it. Look at these different options for headlines. Are viewers really quitting The Last of Us? The Last of Us TV show's ratings plummet following Joel's demise. I'm fully invested in The Last of Us Ellie vs. Abby story, but one storyline created for the show is losing me. Or a masterclass on how to kill a show. Guys, this isn't just a matter of Google showing you what you want to be shown based on its algorithm or whatnot, because I'm sure you're all familiar-ish enough with my content that it's accused of being relatively right-leaning. Then why would the Google algorithm also give me the real DEI hire was Clarence Thomas? Or what about inside the Sims family drama that led to Phil's wife-daughter blood? I don't even know who any of these people are. What is this? Is this a sports thing? I have no idea. Jack Dorsey issues clear warning. Okay, I do follow some sort of tech news and whatnot, but the point is, it gives us, Zendaya shows off Tom Holland engagement ring. I've not looked at the Met Gala once. I almost never use Yahoo in my videos as a source. I don't do celebrity drama. So why is Google showing us this stuff? Google's algorithm is not like YouTube, where if you watch a lot of, quote unquote outrage content, it'll feed you more outrage content. So no, this is just the general sentiment of viewers the world over and internet users the world over that is leading Google to recommend these results. I mean, we got right here, are viewers really quitting The Last of Us 2? And this isn't a very great article. I read through it because I wasn't sure which one I was going to use for this video. And reading through this, it basically says, yes, the live numbers, right when it debuts, the people that watch that day, those numbers are going down. But that doesn't mean that when we get the, rewatch time, here do people catch up on it later, that those numbers will have gone down. Now, frankly, I disagree with this assessment. I think this is just coping and seething and trying to, stay in good with Big Daddy Corporation, the individuals that are, probably giving out the goodie bags, things of that effect. But the fact of the matter is, if you're getting less people on opening night than you were originally getting, those people might, some of them might watch later. Maybe they were busy that night. But if you're losing so many of them, it could just be people falling off the show. They don't want to watch the show. They've become less and less enthused with the show. What about this one right here? The Last of Us TV show ratings plummet following Joel's demise, which, again, 100% has happened. Now, while it's true, we're only getting the live numbers. We're only getting the day-by-day, or the day of numbers, because it takes a lot longer to get the full-length numbers. How many of these people just aren't coming back? So, yeah, if they kill off the main character of the show, that might piss a lot of people off to just not come back to the show. Yes, sure, you're going to get people that did miss it that night, and they're going to rewatch it the next day, and they're like, oh, wow, this really sucked, but maybe it's not going to turn them off to the show, or maybe they were fine with it, and they're going to carry on. But the point is, the game divisively killed off Joel. And then the show did the same thing, and the normies who didn't play the game or didn't understand the game didn't know that was a thing, and they're just as upset as the gamers were all those years ago. But here's a great article. Here's a very good article, and the reason it's very good is because it says things I agree with and things I disagree with. So and when I say it's a good article to juxtapose some of my own biases or some of the things that I believe. I think that anytime you're going to cover something like this, a nuanced view is probably a good thing. A masterclass on how to kill a show. So before we get into this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news nearly every day. Let's go through this and see if it really is a masterclass on how to kill a show. The Last of Us has lost course after a promising first season. So out the gate, I vehemently disagree with this guy. A promising first season. Y'all know me. Even the first season of The Last of Us thought was absolute garbage. Thought it was a dumpster fire. And immediately I'm in disagreement with this guy's thoughts on just the first season. I should say up front, I'm not a huge zombie media guy. Now, while I don't like The Last of Us, I do think calling it zombie media is a bit of a disservice, but alright. I didn't do the Walking Dead thing. I enjoyed World War Z, once again, very much calling into question this guy's coherence when it comes to what is good and bad and when it comes to zombie media. Brad Pitt as an academic with glasses fighting zombies. And my wife and I got into The Last of Us Season 1, primarily because it was a pretty masterful human story about grief painted on the backdrop of zombie stuff. Like, the zombies were almost ancillary to the character work. To be fair, that's how well done zombie media is. So this shouldn't come as a surprise to you. But again, you said you're not big on zombie media. But all that said, here's how to ruin a popular show 2 episodes into Season 2. Step 1. Kill the main character who is the only bankable star in your show. Now, I know that thinking that Pedro Pascal is the main character and the only bankable star is probably the most Gen X middle-aged man thing I could possibly do. But he is, and he is. And yes, I mean, look, I've made my, just unbridled hatred for Pedro Pascal very apparent, not just in Last of Us videos, because to be frank, I think I've only done one Last of Us video, but in various live streams or various videos on Star Wars, The Mandalorian, whatever. Point is, y'all know, I hate Pedro Pascal. And I have for a long time. I've never understood it. I didn't understand people's fascination with him in Game of Thrones, or Narcos, or any of these other projects. And frankly, he's going to be one of the worst things about the upcoming Fantastic Four film. And that's in a long list of things that are going to be bad about the upcoming Fantastic Four film. But the fact of the matter is, nah, the writer here is entirely correct. Pedro Pascal was the star, and he was the only bankable star at that. His character was the most conflicted due to his parental and fatherly affection for the Bella Ramsey character, and though the storyline of his continued protection of her, despite her ability to save humankind, but only through dying, was sweet and human and relatable. Also, he was the only character in the show who could carry a scene just by being in it, and now he's dead in the show. I mean, this guy has a far higher opinion of Pedro Pascal's acting talent than probably anyone should. In fact, it calls into question the sort of media he's been consuming and what he thinks of as good movies. But he also said earlier that he liked World War Z. But his bad choice of film and his bad understanding of storytelling and film aside, also I know that Joel eventually dies in the video game in which the show is based, which I haven't played. Shocker. But making a video game you want to play, and characters you want to be with in a show are a completely different set of circumstances. I completely disagree with this. This goes to show that the writer here does not understand the modern gaming zeitgeist, does not understand anything about modern gaming, because let's be real, many modern, especially these story-driven games, are just playable movies, and The Last of Us is no exception. In fact, The Last of Us is one of the games that really popularized that cinematic style of gameplay. So, no, creating a game you want to play is not really the same thing, because what The Last of Us at least tried to do, and I would even argue in both games, although that'd be giving Neil Cuckman way too much credit, was to create character-driven cinematic stories, where, yeah, you're playing through the first game, and I guess playing through the second game if you are a masochist. Yeah, obviously the gameplay needs to be fun. There needs to be a reason to play the game. That being said, that really undermines the idea that these were very cinematic stories. These were very human, character-driven stories, that this wasn't just a video game. There's been a few video games like that throughout the course of gaming, the ones that were kind of, game changers to the medium. And I could begrudgingly say that The Last of Us was one of them, given, the consensus about it online. So, no, I just do not think that this boomer writer here, this Gen X writer, which he already referred to himself as earlier, understands modern gaming, and frankly, that modern gaming has taken a lot of cues from how to tell stories via television or movies. Or frankly, that a lot of television and movies have been taking cues on interactivity from the audience because of video games. I completely disagree with the sentiment here. Pragmatically and emotionally, I think I would have kept Joel around for as long as possible. Now, this is an interesting dilemma to be in, because taking my hatred of Pedro Pascal aside, let's just talk about the character of Joel. Yeah, people didn't like that he died in the second game, and viewers clearly aren't responding to him dying they're not responding very well to him dying in the show. But you've got source material here, and you need to be able to honor that source material. You need to be accurate to that source material, because if you're not accurate to the source material, you're also going to piss people off. Because the source material itself was legitimately bad, this was going to be a lose-lose either way. You could either deviate from the source material and keep Joel alive. Well, great. People that did like the source material are going to throw a fit. You could stick to the source material, kill Joel off. Well, people are going to throw a fit because they don't like the main character dying. Like, damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. Now, you could argue that Downton Abbey, again, this guy also apparently watches Downton Abbey. Jesus Christ, get this guy something good to watch. I'm in pain reading this, which to me is another quality stratosphere altogether. They did this successfully when it killed off Sybil and Matthew. But I would argue that Sybil and Matthew were actually the two most boring one-note characters in the entire series, and that was a big cast from the jump as opposed to a two-hander. It was a bummer when Matthew wrecked his car and when Sybil died. However, she died. But I was more invested in Mrs. Hughes, Mr. Carson, Lord Grantham, and even Mrs. Patmore by that point. I have no idea who any of these motherfuckers are. I watch, believe it or not, I am not actually a closeted homosexual, so I don't watch gay-ass shit like Downton fucking Abbey. Step 2, lean into your other main character's pansexuality, or whatever. To be honest, I'm not even sure what pansexual means, and this particular goalpost is always on the move, but it just seems like the show turned into a "Dad, you just don't understand me" after school special in season 2. Now, this is a pretty base statement. I agree with him on step 2. Once you started making this about, and to be fair, the games of this as well, make it about, the female character, Bella Ramsey character, Ellie's like, "Oh, look at me, I'm a homo." Yeah, it's gonna be divisive at the very least. I guess she's gender blind. I guess she's attracted to everybody. I really don't care, except that was once a cool and interesting show about survival and the meaning of life in a seemingly unsurvivable circumstance. Is now a commentary on something 2025-ish. It's not something 2025-ish. 2025 is finally rejecting this stuff. It's a commentary and shit that was like 2016 through 2020 is what it really is. Completely a textbook cover-worthy array of diversity commentary in nearly every scene. Even normies that like Pedro Pascal, that liked season 1, that watched Downton Abbey, like, even those sorts of normies are now saying, like, yo, what's with the identity politics in this shit? It's a little bit weird. Like, if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about the ratings for this show being just absolutely in the gutter, I don't know. I got a bridge to sell you. Step 3, change the who should we care about calculus midstream. And step 4, make your quiet and thoughtful show about grief into a loud and abrasive show that is more about revenge and killing people than about killing zombies. As I mentioned before, the violence in season 1 was ancillary, and there were long stretches of time where no one and nothing died, which again is one of the reasons that it's actually a bad adaptation of its source material, but whatever. There were long, pleasant stretches of quiet where the actors were doing a lot with their faces and movement and the brilliant, pleasant set design carried day by day. I'll give credit to the set design. Season 2 has too much quippy, plotty dialogue, and it dropped the character work almost completely. This is a bummer. I mean, again, it's based off a shitty video game. What do you want? At the end of the day, we don't even really need to really finish this article. Just look at the way this video started, with Google recommending multiple different sources about why The Last of Us Season 2 is an abject failure in terms of viewership. Now, again, the critics can talk about how much they love it all they want. The critics can give it a 99% all they want. It's not doing well. I mean, on Metacritic, it's sitting at like a 3.6 or something like that. On Rotten Tomatoes, it's sitting like a 47%. These are for the audience scores, and the critics are just lapping that shit up. But at the end of the day, people aren't liking it. They don't like that Pedro Pascal died. They don't like the fact that the show's going in the direction it's going. And they clearly are normies that didn't pay attention to the video game discourse back in like 2019, 2020, whenever it was. It seems so long ago, I don't even remember at this point. But the fact of the matter is, the divisiveness of the games, the bad writing from Neil Cuckman, all of that being transferred to a live-action TV show just goes to show that us gamers were right all that time ago, and it's being reflected in the viewing numbers, which of course is going to... Now, is the show going to get canceled, not renewed for Season 3? No, it's obviously not getting canceled, and there was never going to be a Season 3 to begin with, so, I mean, we're effectively going to get just The Last of Us 1 and 2 as television adaptations that will fade into obscurity and probably be counted among those terrible video game adaptations, because it doesn't matter if normies like Season 1 or not. With Season 2 being as bad as it is, that's people often remember how things end, not how they begin. Like, it doesn't matter how much I love Arcane Season 1, Arcane Season 2 was such a goddamn dumpster fire that I don't know if I'll ever even go back to rewatch Season 1, and if I do, I will headcanon it to where it ended then and there, and there was nothing else after Season 1. That's what Arcane did, and that's coming from somebody who just adored the first season, like the vast majority of other individuals. But these are just my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments down below, or let me know on X, or you can find me at Bolt the Word, and please do subscribe. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news nearly every day, not always about the television scene, but anime, movies, music, Magic the Gathering, you name it. Check me out on Instagram at wordsofparadise_Leon, and become a member for $4.99 a month. You can join the Discord, choose the articles I go over on a day-to-day basis, choose the videos we react to on the Sunday live streams, and of course, get involved with over 190 other vital idols. We are a bright, beautiful, glowing, vibrant community that I cannot wait to grow even further, because we do care about diversity. Only one kind of diversity of thought. If that's interesting to you, join the Discord, hit subscribe, and until next time, it is all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.